Hello, my name is Madeline Kenney, and today I'm going to teach you how to make the most out of your produce. We've all looked in our pantries and forgotten about some produce only to find it molding on the counter. We also typically don't think twice about these vegetables whenever we cut off the peels, roots, rinds, and ends of them and just throw them away. The United States alone wastes 80 million tons of food every year. That equates to 149 billion meals. Farmers dedicate their lives just for these foods to not even make it to the table. So today I'm going to show you what I do to respect the full plant and get the most out of my produce in 5 simple steps. So let's hop in the kitchen and get started. All right, welcome to my kitchen, and I'm going to walk through all of the materials that we're using for this. So first you're going to have a 1.5 gallon size freezer bag. You want a knife. You want herbs and spices of your choosing. Your produce, specifically the scraps, a cutting board, and a pressure cooker. The first step here is to wash your veggies. This is going to require your produce, the large bowl, and some water. You're just going to take your produce and put them in the bowl, let them soak for a couple of minutes, and then brush them gently with a brush. Next, you want to chop your produce and cook with it like you normally would. I have a long day of cooking ahead of me, so I'm going to be preparing a veggie stir fry and a batch of lemon cookies. So I expect to have lots of ends, peels, rinds, and scraps today. All of my scraps separated from the rest. Now that we've gotten all of our chopping, zesting, and juicing out of the way, now it's on to the fun part. We're going to take our freezer bag and just start filling the bag with all of our food scraps. This will keep it all in the same place, and keeping it in a freezer bag in the freezer will make sure that it stays the freshest. Now that our scrap bag is filled and sealed, we are going to mark it with today's date. This is one of the arguably most important parts of the process, because regardless of keeping it in the freezer or not, food does spoil eventually. And usually produce scraps will last about 6 months in the freezer, which gives you plenty of time to work with them, especially if you cook like me. But just to be on the safe side, it's always safer to track when you've put stuff in here so that you can make sure that your food is safe to eat. So once again, mark it so it's ready to go. Now that we've clearly marked when we've put all of this in here, it's safe to go in the freezer. What do you do with the scrap saver bag that's been in your freezer this whole time? So my favorite thing to do is make a broth with it. So I take all of my scraps and I put them in my Instant Pot, and then I strain it, and then I've got some fresh broth. All right, so in this batch of scrappy broth, I have 2 different bags going that I'm going to be adding. This is the demonstration bag that I started on March 2nd, and as you can see, I have the scraps from my lunch today right here. And then I have this one from the 27th and 29th. So first, I'm going to put the demonstration batch just right in. And then I have my personal one. And for reference, personally, this is 4 days worth of vegetable scraps. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of an optional step in here, and that is to add some chicken breasts. All right, next is on to our herbs and spices that we're putting into the scrappy broth. So this is about the look of how much herbs and spices I personally add. Again, just go right into the pot. The final step of this adding and assembling process into the Instant Pot is simply adding your water so that you can make a delicious broth. We're getting to one of the more important bits along with that I kind of align with dating the bags. This is equally as important whenever you're preparing your scrappy broth. So you're going to take your lid, specifically for Instant Pots, and you're going to make sure it's secure. But before you make sure it's secure, you want to double check around the line right here to make sure that there's no interference for the seal. And once you see that you're good to go, depending on the pot, it can be a bit tricky, but this time I got it to work. You hear the little beep noises going on, and it lets you know that the seal worked and everything's good to go. However, now the next thing you want to do is make sure that in the seal part right here in the vent, this will release the pressure when you're done, but it's also used to make sure the pressure stays in. You want to make sure this is all the way back. This is to prevent your pressure cooker from exploding while you're cooking your broth. Before I turn this on, I do a double check to make sure that this line is good. Looks like we're good there. And I triple check to make sure that the vent is sealed so that whenever this little button pops up, it'll just start cooking and go ready to go. And so the next thing that we're gonna do is simply hit the pressure cook button. It's gonna be at a normal temp at high pressure for an hour. And it'll just come to pressure on its own, and then the timer will count down. So now you just simply wait an hour to let the pressure cooker do its job. In the meantime, I'm going to do some laundry, and I'm going to enjoy some of these cookies that help me make this delicious broth we're making today. All right, it's been an hour and I've just released all the pressure from the pressure cooker. So now all I have to do is simply take off the lid and let this cool. This is how our scrappy broth is looking after 1 hour in the pressure cooker. To strain this, we're gonna take out the chicken breasts first. And to end off our final step, we are taking our bowl and we're taking a bowl and our strainer, putting them over top of each other, and then we're gonna drain this into here so that we can get all the rest of the bits out. After straining out all the smaller bits, this is what was left out, and now we have this beautiful golden chicken broth. Look at how beautiful this golden chicken broth is. Now I'm so excited to cook with this. This process is a staple in my household and is one way that I make the most of my groceries as a college student on a budget. So thank you for following through this process, and I hope that you learned something from this, everywhere from washing the vegetables to where to cook with them and how to turn your scraps that you would commonly throw away into something delicious. So thanks.